Hello guys, I'm Tom, and today we'll be looking at SCP-096, also known as the Shy Guy. One of the most mysterious, terrifying, and enigmatic entities ever documented by the SCP Foundation is, without a doubt, SCP-096, also known as the Shy Guy. At first glance, it may appear to be a fragile creature, a skeletal being that spends most of its time curled up, covering its face in a dark corner. However, those who have made the mistake of looking at it directly have discovered that behind its apparent vulnerability lies an unstoppable killing machine, an anomaly whose fury knows no limits. That is why, in this video, I will explain in detail the history and origins of SCP-096, or the Shy Guy. To do so, I will summarize its history with the SCP Foundation, then discuss its physical appearance, personality, and its incredible abilities and known weaknesses. The SCP Foundation has very limited information about the origins of SCP-096. It is unknown whether it is a mutant, an entity from another plane of existence, or simply a natural anomaly. However, its earliest recorded sightings have been traced back to remote and mountainous regions, where the population is sparse and disappearances can go unnoticed for long periods. The first reports of a pale and thin creature come from isolated communities in the Rocky Mountains of Canada and the frozen regions of Tibet. Residents of remote villages whispered about a cursed spirit wandering in the snow, weeping in the darkness. Hunters and mountaineers began to vanish without a trace, leaving behind only bloodstains and shattered equipment. One of the most well-documented cases occurred in the Himalayas during the 20th century when a group of mountaineers reported encountering something unnatural at an altitude of around 7,000 meters. One of them, an experienced guide named Dawa Tenzing, sent a radio message in a state of panic, saying that they had seen a pale man with long arms and a featureless face, and that something was wrong with it. The transmission was abruptly cut off. When a rescue team arrived at the group's last known location, they found only pieces of flesh and traces of blood in the snow. There were no tracks indicating a human or known animal attacker. However, the mountaineers' cameras recovered days later contained chilling images. In one of them, a pale and slender figure could be seen standing in the distance in the snow. In the next image, the figure was gone. In the final photo, taken at an accidental angle, a massive shadow could be seen just before the camera fell to the ground. As these disappearances continued, government agencies began to notice strange patterns. Reports indicated that the victims never seemed to have fought back against their attacker, and that the level of violence in the attacks was disproportionate. The SCP Foundation was alerted when a group of undercover agents investigating disappearances in Siberia recovered a disturbing video. In the footage, a hiker could be seen turning on his flashlight in the middle of the night. In the background, something moved between the trees. When the flashlight illuminated the area, a tall and skeletal creature stood still, motionless. The moment the man lowered the flashlight, a heartbreaking wail began, followed by the sound of something moving at an extremely fast speed. The recording ended abruptly with screams and a loud impact. This event led the SCP Foundation to organize an expedition with a team of highly trained agents. Drones and advanced technology were used to track the creature, avoiding direct eye contact. For days, the drones captured images of a slender figure wandering in circles, crying and sobbing in the frozen tundra. Eventually, the capture team used a series of sonic explosions and high-powered tranquilizers to immobilize it, achieving its initial containment in a temporary facility. What followed revealed the true danger of SCP-096. One of the scientists reviewing the footage of the capture accidentally saw the creature's face on a security screen. Within minutes, SCP-096 broke its restraints with superhuman strength and escaped the facility, tearing through walls and covering miles in seconds. The scientist was found torn apart more than 800 kilometers away. SCP-096 was recovered in a passive state shortly afterward, sitting in a fetal position in the middle of the frozen desert. Since that moment, the SCP Foundation declared SCP-096 to be one of the most dangerous entities ever contained and developed strict protocols to prevent its face from being seen again. Now that we've thoroughly covered its history, I want to talk about SCP-096's physical appearance, what we know about its personality and behavior, and explain its incredible abilities and known weaknesses. SCP-096 is an extremely tall and thin humanoid, measuring approximately 2.38 meters in height when standing. Its body seems disproportionately large compared to the average human structure. Its arms are abnormally long enough for its hands to touch the ground even when it is standing upright. Its fingers are bony and sharp, and it seems to have no nails. It is completely pale, with no pigmentation or body hair. It is unknown if its skin is sensitive to sunlight, but it does not appear to react to extreme weather conditions, as it has been sighted in both frozen and desert environments without showing signs of discomfort. SCP-096 has no hair on its head or eyebrows, and its eyes are a milky white with no visible pupils. It is unclear whether it can see in the same way humans do, or if its perception of the environment is based on another sense. One of the most terrifying features of SCP-096 is its mouth, which can unhinge unnaturally, opening 4 times wider than a human jaw would allow. Its teeth are small and dull in appearance, though it has never been seen using its mouth to feed. Despite its cadaverous appearance, SCP-096 does not appear to suffer from malnutrition or show any signs of physical wear, suggesting that its physiology is entirely anomalous. In its normal state, SCP-096 is incredibly docile and withdrawn. It shows no aggression or signs of hostility toward its environment. Most of the time, SCP-096 sits in a fetal position with its head between its knees and its arms covering its face. Its breathing is light but audible, and it occasionally emits small sobs or whimpers. It does not respond to external stimuli, such as loud noises, bright lights, or physical contact. It has been documented that even when struck or pushed, it does not react immediately. It simply readjusts its posture and returns to its passive state. It has never been observed eating, drinking, or sleeping. Its vital signs are unusual, with an extremely low heart rate. The Foundation has not determined if it requires any form of sustenance to survive. Despite its peaceful nature, this state is deceptive, as the moment someone sees its face, even in an image or recording, SCP-096 enters a state of uncontrollable fury. This hunting phase follows an extremely efficient and terrifying pattern. The reaction of SCP-096 when someone sees its face is immediate and seemingly involuntary. As soon as it detects that its face has been observed, the creature begins to emit a guttural cry that quickly turns into screams. These screams, often compared to the sound of a human being in agony, can be heard over a wide area and seem to come from inside SCP-096, suggesting that its anatomy may not be entirely human. This wailing is so deep and heart-wrenching that, on occasion, witnesses have reported feeling a profound emotional chill or psychological pain just from hearing it. The creature covers its face with its hands, and its body begins to shake uncontrollably, as if trying to distance itself from what has just occurred. This lasts for 20 to 30 seconds, which seems to be enough time for SCP-096 to register that its face has been seen and that the hunting mechanism has been triggered. During this period, SCP-096 does not show any signs of wanting to attack those present, but its distress appears to build up inside it. Once SCP-096 completes the distress phase, its behavior takes a drastic turn. The crying stops, and instead, a deadly silence takes over the creature. With the calmness characteristic of the most lethal predators, SCP-096 begins to run toward its target at an extremely fast pace. Its speed is superhuman and apparently is not limited by the physical laws of the environment. It has been reported that in just a few minutes, SCP-096 has covered distances of over 100 kilometers without showing signs of fatigue. The creature is not only fast, but also able to overcome any obstacle in its path. Mountains, concrete walls, rivers, and even entire buildings do not seem to be an impediment to SCP-096. It does not stop to gather information about its surroundings or explore areas in search of its victim. The pursuit is absolutely direct. Furthermore, the creature shows no signs of discomfort or disturbance when faced with environmental changes, such as extreme weather or difficult terrain. When SCP-096 finally reaches its target, whether at the physical location where the victim is or at the place where they fled, the creature carries out its attack immediately and brutally. The process of eliminating the victim is always extremely violent. SCP-096 does not use weapons or tools to carry out its task. Its attack is based solely on its physical strength and the disproportionate length of its limbs. With its long hands and arms, the creature drags the victim and dismembers them with brutal precision. Although it is unknown whether SCP-096 enjoys this process or simply performs it automatically due to its anomalous programming, witness reports indicate that the victims have no chance of defending themselves. One of the most terrifying aspects of this phase is that SCP-096 does not stop until it is certain that the victim is completely destroyed, regardless of how long it takes. Testimonies from some witnesses, although scarce, assert that the creature has no interest in anything or anyone other than the target of its fury. Once SCP-096 has eliminated its victim, it enters a phase of temporary confusion, during which it returns to its passive state. The creature sits back in a fetal position and begins to cry or sob in an almost human manner. This phase can last from several minutes to several hours. SCP-096 appears unable to interact with its surroundings during this period, and does not perform any violent actions until someone else sees its face again. It has been documented that the creature shows no signs of being physically damaged after an attack, which reinforces the theory that its regenerative abilities are superior to any human intervention. If found after a hunt, its limbs and body show no injuries, regardless of the damage it may have sustained while hunting its victim. The pursuit phase of SCP-096 presents a significant problem for the SCP Foundation, as mentioned, the creature does not stop for anything once someone has seen its face. This has led to multiple containment failures, as even a small accidental viewing of SCP-096 face can trigger a chain of uncontrollable events. Attempts to contain SCP-096 within a secure facility have been complex and costly. Some of the most common containment methods include the complete isolation of the creature in a closed cell without observation cameras or windows, with trained personnel ensuring that no face is visible during experiments or interactions. However, problems arise when images or recordings of its face are accidentally leaked. One of the most notable incidents occurred when a security guard at a containment facility accidentally saw SCP-096 face through a security camera, unaware of what he had done. Within seconds, SCP-096 initiated its hunt. What followed was an absolute disaster. The guard was pursued, and the rescue team was unable to reach him in time to prevent the creature from destroying him, while SCP-096 continued its fury. This event highlighted the Foundation's vulnerability and the need for even stricter measures to prevent images of SCP-096 face from falling into the wrong hands. After this incident, the Foundation began implementing additional security protocols, such as deleting all recordings, deactivating cameras that could capture images of SCP-096 face, and creating restricted access containment zones for any research teams. SCP-096 is feared not only for its appearance and the devastating strength it displays, but also for the near absolute power it has over people. Once its face has been seen, the hunt is inevitable. This hunting pattern is unstoppable, and it is feared that if its face is ever seen outside the Foundation, it could lead to a global-scale tragedy. Since SCP-096 was discovered, the SCP Foundation has attempted to understand its characteristics and establish protocols to contain it effectively. However, given the unpredictable and extremely dangerous nature of the entity, experiments on SCP-096 have been limited and must be conducted with exceptional safety measures. The first protocol for experimenting with SCP-096 was carried out under controlled conditions at a research site, where scientific personnel intended to study the creature's behavior more deeply. These early attempts focused on observing its reaction to seeing its face in various forms, using images, recordings, and holograms. One of the first experiments involved showing SCP-096 images of its face. The researchers used a series of low-resolution photographs and videos, believing that the creature would only react to high-quality images or those that resembled its real form more closely. However, this turned out to be a mistake. When a blurry photograph of SCP-096 was shown, the creature reacted instantly with the same fury as if it had been seen in person. It was at that moment that it was confirmed that SCP-096 did not only react to direct observations, but also to any image or recording of its face, regardless of the quality of the image. This experiment led the Foundation to understand that any visual representation of its face, even on a low-resolution screen, would trigger its uncontrollable fury. This posed a significant risk to the research staff, who, as a precaution, had to stay away from any images or recordings of SCP-096 face, even if they were working in a remote observation area. The next step in experimentation was to determine if SCP-096 had a distance limit for hunting its victim, and how the creature tracked its targets over large distances. The Foundation used a series of drones and cameras to conduct these tests, observing SCP-096 behavior while it was isolated in a containment area. Researchers discovered that, regardless of the distance to the victim, SCP-096 always reached them. In one experiment, a human subject was placed more than 1,000 kilometers away, and SCP-096 continued its hunt without slowing down or losing its target. This revelation reinforced the theory that SCP-096 has an unstoppable pursuit, and that its ability to track people is not subject to the physical limitations of distance. This discovery resulted in a significant change in the way the Foundation had to treat containment zones, as the distance of the victims was no longer a sufficient protection to prevent SCP-096 from continuing its pursuit. Following the failures in the initial experiments, the SCP Foundation had to modify its containment and security methods. To ensure SCP-096 was not accidentally released, new and stricter security measures were implemented, including the use of special rooms, isolation protocols, and additional protective measures for the personnel involved in the research. The containment cells for SCP-096 were designed to ensure that the creature remained completely isolated from the outside world. These cells are constructed with high-strength materials capable of withstanding the destructive forces of SCP-096 in its active phase. Each cell has a redundant security system to prevent any form of visual access to its face. Measures are in place to ensure there are no external sources that could allow anyone to see SCP-096. Only audio communication systems are used, eliminating any risk of SCP-096's face being seen, even by accident. No recording devices are allowed near SCP-096's cell, and all recordings must be reviewed before being stored. Over the years, an intensive security protocol has been established for all personnel involved in the containment of SCP-096. The most critical procedure is the strict prohibition of observing its face, even in images, recordings, or reflections. Accidental viewing of SCP-096's face, even if unintentional, can result in a catastrophic event. All personnel assigned to work with SCP-096 must wear special vision-blocking glasses that prevent any form of visual image, and camera-proof observation tunnels have been implemented to ensure that SCP-096's face cannot be seen accidentally during reviews. One of the strategies adopted to study SCP-096 was the use of simulators and holographic representations to analyze how SCP-096 reacts to visual stimuli without endangering the safety of the researchers. Holographic simulators were useful in determining that SCP-096 not only reacts to images of its face, but also to any type of simulation or representation. Even images projected on screens, though virtual, triggered its fury. This led to the implementation of additional containment protocols to ensure that the viewing of images, even if not real, was also avoided. Despite the strict security measures and precautions in place, the Foundation has suffered several serious containment failures in which SCP-096 has temporarily escaped its cell and caused devastation at the facilities. One of the most notable incidents occurred when SCP-096 was accidentally released during an experiment where observations of its face were allowed using a high-definition imaging recording device. Although the containment protocol should have prevented any image of its face from leaking, an anomaly in the security system allowed a technician to accidentally view a recording of SCP-096 while performing a routine analysis. As a result, SCP-096 began its hunt and destroyed several security cameras before escaping the facility. This incident resulted in the loss of multiple lives and the forced evacuation of the research site. The SCP Foundation had to apply stricter containment measures and further reinforce security at all its sites. Additionally, this event led to the creation of an emergency protocol that mandates all experiments with SCP-096 be supervised by armed security teams and conducted under extremely controlled circumstances. An even more serious incident occurred when a leaked image of SCP-096 was posted online, causing dozens of people in different countries to view its face. This resulted in a series of deaths and mass panic on a global scale, which the SCP Foundation had to address quickly through covert operations. The speed with which SCP-096 was able to reach victims around the world demonstrated that its hunting knows no distance limits, and that any exposure to its face, even in a globalized context, is potentially fatal. Over the years, the SCP Foundation has attempted to understand not only the characteristics and behaviors of SCP-096, but also its origin and nature. Despite numerous studies and experiments, the exact origin of SCP-096 remains a mystery, which has led to a series of theories about its creation, nature, and origin in the cosmos. One of the most common theories circulating among SCP Foundation scientists is that SCP-096 could have been the result of a failed genetic experiment or a biological modification project carried out by some secret organization or unknown entity. This theory is supported by the evident biological anomaly of SCP-096, which does not follow the rules of conventional biology. SCP-096 displays physical and behavioral characteristics that cannot be explained by natural means. Its colossal size, its ability to track its victims regardless of distance, and its resistance to physical damage could indicate that it was created through experimental methods, either by a scientific group or even by a hidden organization with unknown purposes. The way SCP-096 appears to adapt and regenerate after each violent encounter, and its ability to survive extreme damage, could also be the result of advanced genetic modification. Furthermore, its lack of aggression toward other creatures or even humans until its face is seen suggests it was designed with a very specific purpose. Another theory that has gained traction within Foundation circles is the idea that SCP-096 may not be from this world, but rather from a parallel dimension or even a cosmic entity that inexplicably entered our reality. This theory is based on the uniqueness of SCP-096 characteristics and the impossibility of tracing its origin in our known physical universe. The laws of physics seem not to apply to SCP-096, and its abilities to hunt its victims across impossible distances reinforce the idea that it may not be limited by the space-time constraints of our reality. Its nearly indestructible nature and its reaction to the viewing of its face could be signs that SCP-096 does not belong to our dimension, or was once an extra-dimensional entity that crossed a portal between universes. The fact that SCP-096 can disappear and reappear abruptly, and that its pursuit does not depend on the laws of space-time, could suggest a connection to cosmic forces, or even the manipulation of parallel dimensions. Some theories suggest that SCP-096 is the result of a failed experiment to summon or bring an entity from another plane that escaped its original confinement. Another hypothesis that has gained popularity is the psychological theory that SCP-096 could be the physical manifestation of humanity's collective fears. According to this theory, SCP-096 is a product of the collective unconscious, something that has taken form through the fear and anxiety accumulated by generations of human beings. Throughout history, humanity has experienced deep existential anxiety about the unknown, the uncontrollable, and the monstrous. SCP-096 could be a manifestation of these deepest fears, symbolizing the unknown and incomprehensible lurking in the shadows. Humanity's inability to understand the nature of SCP-096 and the visceral fear it provokes could be symptoms of this manifestation. SCP-096 seems to adapt to the most intense human emotions, such as fear. Its ability to detect those who have seen its face, regardless of their location or distance, could be a symbolic manifestation of how human fears cannot be escaped. The fact that its attack only activates after the viewing of its face could represent humanity's fear of the unknown, something one cannot control or avoid, no matter how far one tries to flee from it. In addition to theories about its origin, SCP-096 raises a series of philosophical and scientific questions that have profound implications for our understanding of reality, biology, psychology, and ethics. SCP-096 defies the basic laws of physics and biology. Its ability to track its victims regardless of distance, as well as the impossibility of seeing its face without triggering its fury, raises fundamental questions about our understanding of space-time. If SCP-096 can hunt its victims across vast distances without being limited by the laws of physics, does this mean that reality itself could be more malleable than we believe? This anomaly forces us to reconsider our assumptions about the nature of space-time and whether there are forces or entities operating outside the fundamental principles that govern our world. SCP-096 appears to have its own awareness and will, but its behavior is equally automatic and almost predetermined. Is it possible that SCP-096 is acting under some form of psychic programming that is not fully self-aware? If its behavior is dictated by an external force, does it truly have control over its actions? Or is it simply a biological machine following a pattern without its own will? This dilemma raises questions about free will and the nature of consciousness. If SCP-096 is being controlled by an external force, can we really consider it an individual, or is it merely a product of its environment and programming? The containment of SCP-096, as well as the experiments conducted on it, raises serious ethical questions about the use of living beings or conscious entities for scientific experimentation. Is it morally correct to continue researching an entity that demonstrates such destructive capacity and whose behavior is clearly involuntary? The fact that SCP-096 does not control its own impulses suggests that, in some way, it is not fully responsible for its actions. This presents an ethical dilemma regarding the SCP Foundation's right to keep it contained and study its abilities. If SCP-096 is truly a product of a failed experiment or a manifestation of cosmic forces, are we justified in treating it as a subject of research without considering its potential suffering or its nature beyond our comprehension? Throughout its containment history, the SCP Foundation has conducted numerous experiments, tests, and missions with the goal of better understanding the nature of SCP-096 and, if possible, neutralizing it definitively. However, due to its extremely resilient nature and unpredictable behavior, most of these attempts have ended in failure or catastrophic results. One of the most obvious methods for neutralizing SCP-096 was the attempt at direct annihilation using high-powered weapons. The Foundation attempted to expose SCP-096 to a variety of lethal weapons, including high-caliber bullets, anti-material .50 BMG, high-destructive power explosives, C4 thermite, armor-piercing ammunition, industrial flamethrowers and corrosive chemicals, bombing with drones armed with air-to-ground missiles, electromagnetic cannons, railguns, exposure to extreme temperatures, from absolute zero to extreme heat exceeding 2,000 degrees Celsius. None of these tests were able to destroy SCP-096 definitively. Although some weapons managed to temporarily dismember it, its regenerative ability allowed it to reconstruct itself in a matter of minutes or even seconds. It was determined that SCP-096 is practically indestructible by conventional means, which led the Foundation to seek more innovative methods to neutralize it. In an effort to counteract the anomalous properties of SCP-096, the Foundation attempted to pit it against other highly dangerous SCP entities, hoping that one might be able to neutralize or contain it effectively. SCP-096 was placed in the same containment chamber as SCP-682. Initially, SCP-096 did not react, as SCP-682 did not look directly at its face. However, when SCP-682 made accidental eye contact, SCP-096 entered an aggressive state. Despite its fury, SCP-682 survived the attack due to its own regenerative and adaptive abilities. The confrontation lasted for hours, with SCP-682 mocking SCP-096 while the latter continued to attack without success. An experiment was conducted where SCP-096 was placed in the same cell as SCP-173. Since SCP-096 spends most of its time in a passive state with its head lowered, it could not react to SCP-173 when it attacked. SCP-096 was decapitated in a matter of seconds, but again, it regenerated completely within minutes. An attempt was made to drag SCP-096 into SCP-100-NX's pocket dimension, hoping the accelerated corrosion could destroy it. However, after its disappearance into SCP-100-NX's dimension, SCP-096 reappeared days later in its containment cell, seemingly unharmed. The conclusion reached was that experiments with other Keter-class SCP entities failed to neutralize SCP-096 and, in some cases, caused extremely dangerous containment breaches. Since SCP-096 only enters an aggressive state when someone sees its face, it was suggested that a potential way to neutralize it might be to alter its face so that it cannot be recognized or clearly seen. Attempts were made to completely disfigure SCP-096's face through surgery. However, its skin and bone structure regenerated its original features in a matter of minutes. An attempt was made to place a steel mask sealed with titanium and nanomaterials, but SCP-096 simply tore it off with superhuman strength. A high-powered laser was used to permanently destroy its face, but SCP-096 regenerated in a matter of seconds. A psychic block was attempted to make SCP-096's face invisible to observers, but the effect dissipated over time. All attempts to modify or eliminate SCP-096's face failed. Its anomalous biology seems to be designed to keep its face intact at all costs. Since SCP-096 does not need food or oxygen to survive, the idea of sending it into outer space or to a black hole, where it could not harm anyone, was proposed. SCP-096 was placed in a sealed capsule and launched into space toward the interstellar void. Its trajectory and condition were monitored for several months. After some time, SCP-096 completely disappeared from radar. Apparently, SCP-096 managed to return to Earth in some unknown way. It is unclear how, but it appeared once again in its containment cell as if it had never been removed. Space isolation is not a viable solution to contain SCP-096, as it seems to possess an unknown ability to return to its point of origin. As the SCP Foundation has explored multiple neutralization attempts, a moral and ethical dilemma has emerged. Is it right to attempt to destroy SCP-096 when it clearly has no control over its own actions? Could a failed attempt at neutralization worsen its behavior or make it even more dangerous? If SCP-096 was artificially created, is there a hidden code that could activate if we try to eliminate it? Some scientists within the Foundation have suggested that, instead of destroying SCP-096, efforts should be focused on better understanding its nature and learning to manipulate its properties, rather than simply trying to eradicate it. Despite decades of neutralization attempts, SCP-096 remains one of the most indestructible anomalies ever contained by the SCP Foundation. Its behavior continues to be an enigma, and the possibility of an effective method to neutralize it in the future remains uncertain. For now, SCP-096 remains in its cell, waiting for someone somewhere in the world to make the mistake of seeing its face once again. And well, this is all we know so far about the entity known as SCP-096, or the Shy Guy. This creature was one of the first SCPs I encountered in my life. I knew how dangerous it was, and that if you saw it, it would attack, but I never thought it would be such a complex and powerful creature. I only thought it was terrifying, and that it screamed a lot. But let me know your opinion in the comments. Did you already know about SCP-096, or the Shy Guy? Do you think this creature really exists and is as dangerous as they say? And finally, if you were to see its face, would you confront it or try to flee? And how would you do so? Or what means would you use? Share your answers to these questions and your general opinion about SCP-096, or the Shy Guy from the SCP Foundation. As always, thank you very much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, share it to support the channel, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my new videos.